Hey guys, what's going on? It's Salvage here, and today I'm going to be talking about the new IGN post that just came out for the Gotham Knights, basically questioning Patrick Redding and Flora Marty, who are two developers, senior producers for Marty, I'm probably saying that name horribly, and creative director Patrick Redding. They were asked a few questions on the IGN website, whatever. And they were asked a lot of questions, actually, and I'm going to be trying to get into all of them right now. So the first one was will combat feel like the Arkham games? Is this a familiar beat-up combat system? Patrick says that they've gone through many iterations on the control schemes, and they've been basically trying to make it as comfortable as possible. But if you're familiar with third-person brawler type experiences, this is what it's going to be. It's kind of like that. The way you're accessing some of your special moves and things that you can vary, I'm sure. But in terms of having both attack and defense choices, having a range of combo choices, having variations in strike types and attack types, being able to combo in your range attacks as well as your melee attacks, all of that's there. So basically it is in many ways like the Arkham games, where you can throw batarang, you could shoot your laser there, you could shoot your electric gun thing, you could shoot your explosive gel, and you could try to range off the enemies that are coming at you. And of course you could come forward and try to approach them in a more fighty type of way and mix your combos with the electric stun and the glue, the explosive gel. You could combo all of that together with your brawls. This is kind of like that. Apparently there was a stamina bar, which I didn't even know about, at the bottom left of the screen when you watch the gameplay. And he says, it kills me how people pick up on that so fast. I shouldn't be surprised, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you will have special abilities in your ability tree that you'll unlock, and you could choose to unlock it in different ways, as well as how you use your gear. And some of that will tie into that bar that we'll be talking about in the future. So they're not going to really talk about what that bar stands for or what that means right now. But apparently, of course, you use that stamina bar for many different things in combat. Is the world fully open world? Will areas be blocked off or level gated? And he says, no, it is one open world city right from the start. And no, there is no level gating whatsoever. And then he starts talking about the enemy types, and it says, it's true that as you are getting more powerful in your progression, you're going to be seeing a sliding scale in terms of not just the level of the enemies, but even some of the types of the enemies that you're going up against. But it's not a grind, which is important. It's not a situation where you'd be like, oh God, I have to go and grind this type of mission in order to level up to this, and then I could get to this. So essentially what they're saying is it's not like the Avengers. I mean, even still with the Avengers, it's not really like, the Avengers aren't really like that. But in many ways, that is a grindy game where you go and you grind and you're trying to just level up your character to go and do more grindy shit. So basically what they're saying is it's not that. This is not that. You can go and you can play the game normally and level up normally, but you're not going to be able to be like, oh man, I have to go do this to unlock this part of the map so I could play this with this level. No, it's you could do whatever you want whenever you want. It's an open world. It's very interesting. And there will be different counters with weaker enemies and stronger enemies that you have to actually use your gear and whatnot to, in many ways, play the game the way you want to play. If you want to play a more stealthy approach, you can. If you want to play a more bulky armor, guns blazing approach, you can. And there's many ways to go through the combat, as said by Patrick. How different can the Knights become? Will my Red Hood be different from somebody else's Red Hood? And he says, between the ability tree for Red Hood, which is very unique apparently, and his gear spec, and the way you can modify and upgrade both his range weapons, his melee weapons, and his suit, absolutely. In fact, that range remains actually quite robust throughout the entire game. How do character skins work, which I'm very fascinated in? Are they made up of individual pieces of armor or full outfits? And Flora says they're a mix of both, while Patrick kind of chimes in and says, so just to be clear, we will talk about gear. When we talk about gear, we're talking about your melee weapon, your ranged weapon, and your suit, which has certain armor characteristics. So basically what they're saying here is that the suit and the customization options is very reminiscent of Mortal Kombat 11. When you look at Mortal Kombat 11, it's not like Injustice 2. A lot of people are saying Injustice 2, but the only reason why they're saying Injustice 2 is because it's DC. It's more along the lines of Mortal Kombat 11, because when you look at that, they already have set, armor. They already have set weapons, and you can just choose that and customize it and make it how you look. So like for the outfits, you have like 7 outfits. There's 7 colored outfits of the same outfit, and that's essentially what's probably going to happen here. You're going to have one outfit that's already picked out for you, and you could choose whatever color you want. You could choose your melee weapons to make your character look a little bit different and play a little bit different, and so on and so forth. So essentially, they don't want you to be customizing it like Injustice 2. He even says right here And then there's your suit style. That's the sort of skinning of the suit, because we didn't want you to turn into just a random Crazy Quilt. They literally reference Crazy Quilt in this article. I don't know if that's like a thing that's gonna happen if Crazy Quilt is in this, but that was a clear reference to Crazy Quilt. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, it's not like Injustice where you can pick out your head, pick out your chest, your legs, your arm, your freaking ankles. You don't have that type of customizability in this game. You're not going to be able to customize your character that well. What does co-op offer above single player? Can two players play co-op with the same character? Because the characters are so distinct from each other, there's a bit of asymmetry, a bit of the complementary skill set and ability set that actually makes teaming up kind of awesome if you happen to have different characters. Now, if you happen to have two Batgirls, you can also do that. Obviously, the potential of having different Batgirls builds and how they look different and play different is really cool too. So you can play as Batgirl and Batgirl, or you can play as Red Hood and Red Hood. So I mean, that's pretty cool in many ways. If your friend wants to play as Batgirl, like I know he wants to play as Batgirl, right? And I don't know, I'm probably going to play as like Red Hood or something. But if I wanted to play as Batgirl, I can still play as Batgirl because, well, they're letting us play as two of the same characters in the same time. I don't know how that's going to work, if the co-op is going to still play as a story thing, if we're going to see two Batgirls in a cutscene, or if they're going to replace one of the Batgirls with like a Robin, and even still, that's kind of cheapening the effect. It's going to be weird how we see that. I'm still waiting to see how that works. They ask, is Gotham Knights a self-contained story? And they say, yes, absolutely. That you can also completely experience in solo if you want to. You're not going to be missing out on anything. If you're playing single player, you can play offline if you want to. We think that teaming up and living that dynamic duo fantasy can be also a really great experience for players, but we won't force them. I think that's a great idea too. The fact that there's only two players, I know they're about to answer that question, but two players just makes a lot more sense than four players, in my opinion, especially for like a Batman game. Like, why would you need four players? It just wouldn't make sense. The dynamic duo is basically the Batman's forte, Batman and Robin, Nightwing and Batgirl, Red Hood and Robin, Red Hood and Batgirl, whatever, but having Red Hood, Batgirl, Nightwing, it would feel bloated in many ways. And, they go on to answer that right now, basically saying that they wanted to focus more on team up and, allowing two players. They didn't want to go all out for four players. Can I play as one knight throughout the entire game? They say yes. You can play as Robin if you want to all the way through. You could play as Batgirl if you want to. But you could also still go ahead and change those characters as well. The gameplay trailer mentions that the players halfway through the Mr. Freeze storyline. Are there multiple villain quest lines to follow at one time? And Flora says, that's probably more details than we're supposed to do at this stage. But yeah, that's the clue that we put in there. Yeah, you got it right. So let me see. Are there multiple villain quest lines to follow at one time? So basically what they're saying is, can you do multiple villain stories at once? And that's even more interesting because the side villains are going to have more of a actual side quest than just, hey, you got to fight Hush for 5 minutes in Wayne Tower. Like that is so good. That's really, really a smart idea. Like seeing that Mr. Freeze thing, it's halfway through Mr. Freeze and we're doing a Mr. Freeze boss fight already? Wait, that wasn't even the end of that wasn't the end of the mission? Now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually kind of crazy. We were halfway through the Mr. Freeze storyline. So we're not even halfway through that and we're fighting him. That's interesting. I really like that. I like the way they're presenting the villains in many ways. What's the time scale of this game? Is there a day-night cycle? And let's get into this. Flora says it's actually over many nights. So yes, we do have a day and night cycle, but the daytime is when you're in the Belfry, which is basically, the super centered operations, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like the clock tower in many ways. So yeah, you get a fight crime at night, which makes sense. I think that even fighting during the daytime, in my opinion, would probably make sense. So yeah, daytime is Belfry, and then night is roaming the streets, fighting criminals, unraveling the mystery. Okay, will the night be out of their disguises in the Belfry? You kind of got a hint of that in the trailer. I mean, yeah, we kind of did. They're kind of like not in their mask and whatnot. They're kind of just. It was important of us to. That the Belfry, it was important to us, the Belfry. I mean, obviously it was a huge role to play in how the players manage their characters and their progression and all that, but it also but it is also a narrative space. It's a place where the characters are allowed to be seen and have facial expressions and talk to each other. So it serves a dual purpose, and it is really effective. It's a really effective way of using that space. It's a good idea. I like what they're doing there. Why was this game always a non-Arkham game? Yes, 100%. I call bullshit on that. I think, okay, I'm not calling bullshit on that. I think that, yes, this game particularly was always meant to not be an Arkham game. But they weren't just working on this game solo. They were working on a Batman game before this, whatever. Yes, 100%. That was something we arrived on early, during this game's development. We want this to be the start of something, not just the continuation or the prolonging of something. Ooh. And it was always intended as a new franchise set within the DC Batman's universe. Obviously, once we had that as not a blank slate, but a clearer, possibly, the way they wrote this, possibly space, then we started arriving at some of these other ideas that allowed us to kind of move in a very different direction, take the step of killing Batman. You guys didn't kill Batman. We know you guys didn't kill Batman. Yes, is Gotham Knights story based on existing comics? Of course it is. And the last one, could more stories be told in the Gotham Knights universe? Yes, but I won't say more on that. Flores says Gotham Knights is all about growth. There's room for growth. I really am getting hyper and hyper about this game. I think a lot of people actually read this and they were like, man, I wasn't really for this game, but now hearing about it, now that it's not going to be a grindy game, there's going to be side villains that actually have side missions and side, actual fucking stories. Like, that's great. Hearing that the customization is a lot like Mortal Kombat 11, the fact that, the two-player co-op, you can still play as two of the same characters and still build them up differently. The fact that, there's just multiple ways to really go about this game, and just overall the new levels of anticipation for many people with the fact that it's a Bat Family game that you get to do all this stuff, and it's really exciting. I really am interested to see where they're going to be taking this, and I can't wait to hear more about this game, because honestly it's starting to sound way better than I expected. I thought it was going to be more along the lines of a Arkham Origins type of style, but obviously they're doing their own thing. They are really going for a distinct style and a artistic choice that's completely different from the Arkhamverse, which is great, and completely different from the Suicide Squad, which is also great. So overall, I'm very excited to see what's going to be going on here. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys like all this information that just came out? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more videos in the future, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Peace out.